Welcome to Tim's TV. Now, in breaking news, the Hill.com, which is a Washington, D.C. news organization, just broke the story that Gloria Allred's daughter, who is an attorney, was arranging up to $750,000 in payments or campaign donations to people who were come out and say that Donald Trump sexually abused or sexually assaulted them. So that means people are being paid to falsely accuse Donald Trump of all these sexual assault, sexual misconduct, sexual whatever. So these people are being paid. Now, the Alabama election this week was just basically turned on the fact that Ray Moore was accused of molesting a 14-year-old back in 1979. Was she paid? Gloria Allred was down in Alabama. She brought out the woman with the yearbook. Now, the yearbook was forged. If you knew what you were looking at, the woman who claimed that he molested her and signed her yearbook the same night also got a divorce decades later in front of Judge Ray Moore, and Judges Ray Moore's um, court clerk signed Ray Moore's name along with her initials to signify that she was signing on the judge's behalf. When that woman and Gloria Allred came out and showed the yearbook, it had the signature with the initials back in 1977, which means it's a forgery. She forged it off her divorce papers because it was the same judge, same guy. I'm assuming she was looking for money. The woman that said she was molested when she was 14, or he made out, took no for an answer. She went out with him again. They made out a second time, and he took no for an answer. So Ray Moore is really a child molester who takes no for an answer. Kind of odd, but hey, we need to audit this woman to find out if she's gotten any significant cash payments in the last few months, because we know that Gloria Allred has paid people to falsely accuse Donald Trump. She did that last year in 2016 during the election. She paid one woman $50,000 who made allegations against Donald Trump. Now the price has gone up to an offer of $750,000 if you accuse Donald Trump of sexual assault. Now, you got to assume that if you're spreading that kind of money around and a U.S. Senate seat is at stake, a Senate seat that costs $20-30 million to win, the idea of throwing a couple of $100,000 to a woman to say that he did something wrong when she was a minor, hey, that's a couple $100,000 to lie. Who would turn down $750,000 to make up a false allegation? I know a lot of you would not do it, but I know a lot of you would. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash is just a beautiful thing. It'll make people lie and be offended about almost anything. So that is the update. When people say that Donald Trump is a sexual assaulter, all this, remember, when he was just a famous billionaire, nobody was accusing him of sexual assault, sexual harassment. This wasn't going on. Once he ran for president, all of a sudden all these women came out and said that he did this, that, or the other thing. So once politics got involved, politics and money go together. Politics and lying go together. Politics, lying, and money, they all fit very nicely together. So all these allegations are after he became a public Republican and ran for the Republican nomination. So if he did all these things over the last 20, 30 years, why weren't these women suing at the time? He was famous for being rich. If you were really sexually assaulted by a billionaire, wouldn't you get an attorney immediately and try to cash in on it then, not wait 20, 30 years until he was running for president? And with this Ray Moore thing, if he did all this, they should have got him at the time. If you wait 3, 4 decades until he's running for the U.S. Senate, I find it highly suspicious. I'm saying that Ray Moore was falsely accused of being a pedophile for money. And the new political standard is it's not about our tax rate. It's not about the debt. It's not about how the government is run. It's not about how you're going to run the government. Is can you falsely accuse your political opponent of sexual assault or better yet, child molestation? That's how you win political office. The other guy is a child molester. Everybody else is a child molester but me. You disagree with me about tax rates, you're a sex offender. Think about it. Is that really the country you want to live in? I know we have freedom of speech, but isn't there some responsibility that comes with that freedom of speech? I am calling for the United States Senate and the FBI to investigate Ray Moore's accusers. Get subpoenas, look at their bank accounts, look at their finances, and put them under oath. Find out if these women were paid. Because if Ray Moore is innocent and the new political tactic is accusing people of being a child molester, that's something we can't stand. Part two, in order to find out if the woman who said she was 14 at the time is telling the truth, AT&T has phone records. If Ray Moore from his house or from his office called her mother when she was 14, then Ray Moore is absolutely guilty. And I'm not defending him. He's guilty of sin. There's no reason for him to call a 14-year-old. On the other hand, if you subpoena those AT&T phone records for her mother's house, and he never called from his house, he never called from his office, and you can't tie phone calls from a payphone outside of his office or down the street from his house, if you can't connect a pattern of phone calls or even one phone call from Ray Moore to her mother's house, then she's lying. He was falsely accused of being a child molester, and that's why he lost the Senate seat. And if that is the case, that needs to come out before the next election. So we know that women lie. We already know women lie, but do women lie for money? And the easiest way to find out if she lied is simple. Subpoena AT&T to produce her mother's phone records back in 1979. And if you can tie any phone calls to Ray Moore, he's guilty as sin. He's the scum of the earth. If you cannot pin one phone call, she said there were multiple phone calls, but if you can't pin one phone call back to Ray Moore definitively, whether it's his home, whether it's his office, or whether I'll give you a payphone across the street from his office. I'll give you a payphone at the gas station down the street from his house. But if you can't pin a single phone call from Ray Moore to her, then she's lying through his teeth, and we just publicly crucified an innocent man for being a child molester when he didn't do it. Once again, there's a way to prove or disprove it. AT&T holds the key to that allegation. It's simply in her mother's phone records. Remember, there were no cell phones. There were only landlines. The landlines will tell whether or not he contacted her or not. If he did, he's the scum of the earth. But if you can't pin one phone call from him to her mother's house, then he was an innocent man who has been publicly crucified. His life has been destroyed. And the Democrats won the United States Senate based upon a false child molestation allegation. Once again, if it's true, he's horrible. If it's false, then we've got to put an end to the fact that whether you're a Republican and you're running against a Democrat, that doesn't make you a child molester. If you're a Democrat running against a Republican, that doesn't make you a child molester. If you're going to publicly accuse somebody of being a child molester, you better have a hell of a lot more evidence than we had in Alabama. I'm Tim with Tim's TV. Let's keep politics about the future of the country, not personal attacks. And this has been the worst personal attack I've ever seen. Once again, AT&T holds the facts. We need to subpoena the AT&T phone records to find out if Ray Moore did it or didn't. I'm Tim with Tim's TV. Subscribe below. Share with all your friends. Remember, whether you love me or hate me, tell everybody about me. Woo!